Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! I'm a 20-year-old guy who loves playing Magic the Gathering. It's my favorite card game, and I've spent years collecting some really valuable cards. So I was at the local game shop one day looking to sell one of my prized possessions, a foil Olivia Crimson Pride showcase, and this card was so special. Not just because it was rare, but also because it had some, well, let's say unique artwork. I had just finished discussing the sale with the store owner when things took an unexpected turn. Enter the entitled mother, or EM for short, with her son in tow. I could sense trouble brewing from the moment she walked in. "You should give that card to my son. You're too old to play with cards." I was taken aback by her audacity. I had just sealed a deal with the store owner, and now this stranger wanted me to give away my precious card. "Ma'am, if you had approached me earlier, I would have considered a trade or sale, but I've already made an agreement with the store." "No, you're an adult. You should just give this card to my son." I looked over at her son, who couldn't have been more than 10 years old. I should also mention that the card I was selling had some, well, revealing artwork for a magic card. "Ma'am, how old is your son?" "He's 10. How old are you?" "I'm 21. Besides, I don't think this card is appropriate for someone his age." I showed her the card to illustrate my point. "No, it's fine. Just give it to him." As I've already explained, I can't do that. I've already committed to selling this card to the store. And just when I thought this confrontation couldn't get any worse, the store manager stepped in. "Ma'am, if you want this card, you can buy it from us." "No, if my son can't have this card, then you can't." At that moment, she grabbed the card from my hand. I couldn't believe what was happening, and all I could hear was a dreadful sound. "Rip." I stared at the woman in shock, the torn card now in her hands, and anger bubbled up within me, and I couldn't hold back my frustration. I unleashed a torrent of curses at her. Meanwhile, the store owner wisely decided to call the police. In just 5 minutes, they arrived on the scene. The first thing the cops did was separate me and the entitled mother and gathered our statements. The owner also took the initiative to pull up the store security video footage of the incident. Once they had talked to me and the owner, the police turned their attention to the entitled mother. When they were done speaking with her, they escorted her out of the store, leaving me, the owner, and a damaged car behind. One of the officers approached us. He said, "This woman will be escorted off the premises. If you wish, we can also issue a trespassing order, banning her from returning." The store owner quickly agreed, mentioning that this woman had caused issues in the past. Furthermore, we've issued her a ticket for destruction of private property and disturbing the peace. The store owner turned to me and handed over the money he had agreed to pay for the card. He explained that he would use it as part of his legal claim against the woman. He said, "I'll be pursuing her for harassment due to her repeated incidents, the value of the card she destroyed, and any legal fees needed to take her to court." I felt relieved that the situation was being taken seriously and that justice would be served. I knew I would never forget the day an entitled mom tried to snatch my magic card and ended up tearing it into pieces. In the end, the magic of the gathering brought the police and the store owner to my side, ensuring that the entitled woman faced the consequences of her actions. So I go to check out a car I saw on Facebook for my daughter who's getting ready to graduate high school to go to college. An $1,100 1997 Nissan Altima, one of those easy fix engines. She's 18 and needs something reliable. And we set things up to meet at a Burger King along the local bus route. I look it over and the problems I can see are ones correctable over a weekend, and a case of beer with the friends. So I take it on a test drive with a seller riding beside me. Overall, the engine was good and I decided to buy it. However, as we're in a Burger King taking care of the title papers, a woman pulls up and barges in. Please note, title was original. This will be important. I sign the title, take the keys, and start to walk out. I see her kicking the tire, and I ask her what she's doing to my car. She looks like the typical Karen. The hair, the fancy dress, the aura of toxic entitlement. She says, "I'll take it for $500. "What?" I'm confused. "Your car, $500. Now. She was clapping while speaking. Stop this nonsense. I clapped back in her face, and she looked stunned that I did it back. I then asked, now what do you want? Well, that's just rude. I thought it was when you did it to me, yes. Whatever, like I told you on Facebook yesterday, I'm here to buy the car for $500. Well, that wasn't me. I just bought it. Liar. The seller steps out and says, I told you yesterday it was $1,100. Take it or leave it. You told me you'd leave it, so I sold it to him. Fine. You sold it to me then. Pointing at me. No, I'd lose out on $600 then. Not my fault. You take the $500 or I call the cops and claim you stole it from me and my son. The entitled kid pops out of Mom's car. Mom, you said we were picking it up and going. Now give me my car and take me to GameStop for taking up so much of my time. See what you did? You inconvenienced my son. He could be playing Fortnite with his friends now. Now you get no money. Give me the keys. Just get lost, woman. Call the cops. The entitled mother actually calls the cops, so I wait, and the seller waits as well. And finally the cops arrive. Cop asks, what's the problem? The entitled mother interrupts the cop. My ex-husband, points at the seller, stole my son's car and sold it to the guy he takes turns raping my son with. The cop looks at us, having his hand over the taser. Get down on the ground. Me and the seller do as we're told and wait for the backup. The entitled mother and kid are demanding their car keys from me so the entitled kid can go back to Fortnite. The officer takes the keys and was preparing to give them to her when the sergeant shows up over my name being radioed in. They talk and the sergeant takes the keys and lets me out of the cop's car. The locals have had to deal with me on more than one PTSD episode in the past. He asks both my and the seller's sides. He goes on to tell how she had tried to buy the car for $500 and he refused it before selling it to me since the price was $1,100. I tell how I bought it and pull out the title. The sergeant takes it back to his car for a title check. It came back as having been the guy since he bought it off the Nissan lot. I'm given the keys and told to go. I offer the seller a ride as the sergeant starts losing it on the cop while they both were getting handcuffed. I don't know what Jibby's real name was, but that was his nickname. I'd known the kid since kindergarten and never was there a sweeter person. He was a kid, just a cool guy. He'd give you his lunch if you didn't have any. He'd hug you if you'd have a rough day, even if you were a guy. Jibby was a bona fide genius, top of all his classes, but kinda slow socially. He liked people, but the kindness made people treat him worse and worse the older he got. We were in various schools together through high school, which is where I lost track of him. I was a crap student, smart but didn't care about the work. We got into one of the most crime-ridden, bad school systems North Carolina had to offer, and I've been suspended a half dozen times for various things. Nothing violent or destructive, mostly just insubordination or skipping classes. I didn't care about school. I was past that. Life sucked too hard to care, and Jibby, sadly, was the target of every bully in the school. It got really bad sophomore year when we were in algebra. This algebra class was taught by a teacher who might once have had a soul, but it'd been sucked out by years of high school. She cared less than I did. This little jerk, we will call him Hunter, who was maybe 140 pounds soaking wet, took to abusing Jibby. Hunter was Latino, which was more of a subculture in our school, less of a racial divide, and a loudmouthed little thug. Mean jerk, just cruel. He'd poke Jibby, tossing things at him, kick him after class, call him a faggot constantly, steal his books and food and crap like that. Jibby took it all and he tried to go to the teachers, but the teachers did not care. Like I said, bad school. It came to a head when Hunter tripped Jibby and made him split his head on a desk. Hunter got a week suspension claiming it was an accident, Jibby got 6 stitches and transferred to another class. When he got back, his favorite target was gone. Hunter decided I was going to be the new one. I by then had little to lose. I was failing every class except theater and English. I was considered a troublemaker by every school admin and was on a first-name basis with a school resource officer. First day he's back, Hunter looks around, spots me reading quietly in a corner, and tosses spitballs at me. Childish jerk. But I'd seen just how much cook going to the teachers did Jibby. I immediately got up from my desk, circled the outside of the room, and squared up on Hunter. He got up, but I outweighed him by a good 40 pounds. I knew how it was going to play out though. I went for his head, getting him in a half Nelson. I held it for about 5 seconds, then stepped back. He threw a few bad haymakers, stabbing me on the chin and cheeks. It was like being punched by a fly in trainers. The teacher was shouting, but I let him deck me 5 or 6 times, then shoved him away. He fell over several desks and I retreated to the door, stepping outside. 10 minutes later, the school resource cop shows up and I tell him Hunter attacked me. I say I was just going to sharpen my pencil, and he stepped up and pushed me. Nobody, and I mean nobody, asked the other students what happened, and the teacher hadn't seen the start of it. Hunter of course denied it, but in doing so he pushed the school resource cop, who was telling him to sit back down. Now Hunter is in handcuffs, and they search him. He had 3 joints, a pocket knife, and a pack of cigarettes. Hunter was expelled immediately and charged with assault on a police officer, possession on school property, and carrying a concealed weapon. Class 1 misdemeanor in Carolina. This was his 3rd hit for drugs that went up to a felony. I got a 2-day suspension to add to my long list, but frankly, it was worth it. Jibby, wherever you are, I wish you all the best, buddy. You deserved better. Update. I settled Hunter around and tried to find Jibby. My mom, as it turned out, had my old yearbook from high school for my freshman year and I remembered he was really into theater. I found his name and picture in the credits for the school play that year. A bit of Google fool later and I found out he got married, the announcement was still on the whip, and moved to Carolina. He owns a little computer repair place and has a kid. He designs those robotic battle bot things. Coolest stuff I've ever seen. I don't know if I have the guts to call him, no way he'd remember me anyways, but I'm just glad he's alright. I'm 26 female and my adopted sister Allie is 14 female. The way we're related is that my younger brother Michael, 24 male, has been with his wife Maya, 24 female, since their freshman year of high school. Maya and Allie had a really bad home life and my mom is very much of a "my home is open to everyone" type of person. So over that year, Maya began spending more and more time at our house, eventually bringing Allie over as well, since she was always babysitting. By the time Michael and Maya were 16 years old, Maya basically lived in a guest room and Allie spent after school, most weekends, holidays, and summer vacation at our house. My mom and dad say that they love both Maya and Allie like their own children. My other siblings, 18 male and 16 female, also treat her like she's part of the family. Even after Maya and Michael moved out, Allie is still at their house the same amount, if not more than she was before. Now to preface, I have nothing against Allie. She's a good kid and I make an effort to be nice to her. However, I've never really liked how she was foisted into our lives. She's not actually adopted and she still has parents and her own family. Yet my parents spend so much time and resources on her. It's ridiculous. Everyone else has started unironically calling her their daughter or sister, and I've refused. I just don't consider her to be family. Anyways, I got married recently, which is where the issues start. I invited Allie to the wedding, of course, and she came with all of my other family. When we were taking pictures of the wedding parties, I decided that I wanted one with all of my immediate family. So my parents, my siblings, and Maya and Michael's daughter. My mom brought Allie up to come take the picture with us and I was forced to tell her no. My mom started to get upset, but then Allie said it was okay and sat down by herself. My mom isn't a very confrontational person, so she didn't make a big deal out of it, but then everyone else realized that Allie wasn't there and they got mad as well. Ultimately, we took the photo how I wanted it because they didn't want to do this at my wedding, but my entire family is pissed at me now. My mom said that Allie cried when she got home because I don't love her, which I don't. I feel like they were forced into a position where I had to do a jerk thing by forcing this kid onto me. I don't think I should have to consider her family if I don't want to. Am I the jerk here? Edit. After the ceremony, but before the reception, the wedding party and most of our close family took photos. I did not include Allie in this photo session, and she sat with the rest of the regular guests waiting for dinner. I did not intentionally exclude her from any of the photos taken, and I'm sure she's in some of them throughout the night, especially because she was there with my family. I hope that clears some things up. Edit 2. Maya and Ellie are sisters. Sorry, forgot to explicitly say that in my post. And now with some comments on the post. Someone saying, I'm sorry, but you're the jerk. Unless my math is failing me, this child entered your life when you were 16 and she was about 4. And you already had 3 other biological siblings younger than you, but older than her. Your words sound resentful, as if you start to be neglected at that time. But if you're taking out on Ellie like her sister/babysitter, removing her from her really bad home life as a preschooler was her fault. Like she had designs on worming her way into your life. That's not what happened. I hope you understand that. Perhaps therapy could help. Edit for clarity. You are the jerk because you were a jerk to Ellie at your wedding. You could have gotten your immediate family photos in a much nicer fashion. Edit 2. Because people keep trying to give me information that I already have. I know Ellie is not adopted. I know she's not OP's family. I know that Maya is really Ellie's sister. I know that OP has every right to exclude whoever she feels like on her wedding day. I know she owes Ellie nothing, and I still think she's a jerk for the way she behaved. I'm not sure why everybody wants to change my mind about it. Another commenter adds, Big, you are the jerk. Yes, she's not entitled to your love, but you didn't have to be such a jerk about making it clear you have no love for her. You could have included her in even just one picture since your family obviously considers her as part of it. Why do you resent that she's been foisted on you? You say you weren't neglected in her favor, so what was it? A third commenter goes with, You are the jerk. I can see why you're using fake names. Not sure when it's my wedding started to be an excuse to be cruel and self-centered. Don't worry about calling her family, as everybody got the message loud and clear that she is not in your eyes. Ellie bowed down to the pics and showed more grace and maturity at 14 than you have. The child has probably been through a lot, but publicly rejecting her and shaming her could well be a defining moment for her to look back on. Good thing is that you will be a memorable person in her life, but for all the wrong reasons. Honestly, I don't understand why you had to make such a point over a photo. Digital, right? Could have had multiple shots done and selected the one you wanted to be blood pure. Final edit from OP. The people who are agreeing with me are starting to convince me that I'm wrong. To the people calling my parents nasty things in my PMs or just saying that they aren't good people, you're dead wrong. My mom is the most caring and kind-hearted woman in the world, and I should have made that more clear in my post. And to be clear, I'm also not a monster. I don't mistreat Ellie, I get her birthday and Christmas gifts every year. However, I'm starting to understand that I did do a bad thing by publicly excluding her at my wedding because I wanted it to be exactly how I imagined it, especially because my mom was apparently blindsided by my feelings. I was 16, 18 when Ellie started coming around a lot and I didn't form the same bond everyone else did. I never super liked being around kids, including my sister who by all accounts behaved way worse than Ellie ever did. But I recognize that she's become a part of our family. And I think I'm going to make more of an effort to get to know her properly, because I do know she's very mature and intelligent for her age. Also, I don't mean to minimize what Maya and Ellie have gone through by saying she wasn't physically abused. I meant to explain why she hadn't been legally removed from her mother's house. She does have an extended family that actually cares about her, but they live an hour away or something, so she stays with my parents the majority of the time. Anyways, thank you for all of your input.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.